The ocean breeze carried the scent of salt and jasmine from Mom's garden as the sky melted into streaks of pink and orange. She sat on the porch of her beloved beach house, wrapped in her old cream shawl, the one she wore every evening since Dad passed away. The wooden boards creaked softly under her rocking chair. I stood beside her, my palms damp, heart pounding so loud I could barely hear the waves. "Mom," I began, my throat dry. "We're leaving tomorrow." She looked up from her tea, frowning slightly. "Leaving? What do you mean, sweetheart?" I swallowed hard. I sold the beach house." The porcelain cup slipped from her hand and shattered on the porch. The silence that followed was heavier than the sound of breaking china. "You what?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "You sold my house, the one your father built for me?" Her eyes, normally so calm and wise, were now sharp with disbelief. I wanted to explain everything, the papers, the discovery, the truth hiding beneath the floorboards, but the words tangled in my chest. "I didn't do it to hurt you," I said weakly. "I had to." "You don't understand." "Then make me understand," she snapped, rising from her chair. "Because right now, it feels like you've taken the last piece of him from me." I lowered my gaze, unable to meet hers. Through the attic window above us, the fading sunlight glinted off the same spot where I'd made my discovery the night before, the place that had changed everything. If she knew what I'd found up there, she'd realize the house wasn't what she thought it was. But for now, I could only whisper, "I did it to protect you, Mom." Her breath caught, confusion softening her anger. "Protect me from what?" I looked toward the sea. "From the truth." It began the night before, when I climbed into the attic to start packing. The space was dusty and dim, filled with the scent of old wood and sea air. Moonlight filtered through a cracked window, illuminating the piles of forgotten things, Dad's fishing gear, a broken lamp, stacks of yellowed photo albums. As I shifted a trunk aside, my foot pressed down on a floorboard that gave a faint, hollow creak. Curiosity prickled through me. I knelt and pried at the edge with a screwdriver, heart racing as the board lifted to reveal a small metal box wrapped in brittle newspaper. It was heavier than it looked. My hands trembled as I set it on the trunk and brushed away decades of dust. The clasp opened easily, as though it had been waiting. Inside were documents, deeds, letters, and faded photographs tied with a blue ribbon. The first paper on top caught my eye. Property deed 1978. Owner, Harold Gray. My brow furrowed. That wasn't my father's name. According to everything I'd ever been told, this house was built by Mom and Dad after they married. I flipped through the other pages, bank receipts, contracts, and then the letters. Each one began with "My dearest Harold," written in Mom's unmistakable handwriting. My stomach twisted as I read her words, confessions of love, guilt, and promises to keep their secret buried forever. My breath grew shallow. Who was Harold Gray? And why did he own our beach house? When I found the last letter, dated only months before my birth, something inside me shifted. It ended with, "If our child ever learns the truth, it will destroy everything we built." I sat frozen, the box open on my lap, the waves crashing faintly below. For the first time, I realized the house I loved might not belong to us at all, and neither might my past. I found Mom in the kitchen the next morning, stirring coffee that had long gone cold. The newspaper lay untouched beside her, but she didn't look up as I entered. My fingers tightened around the metal box I held. "Mom," I began carefully, "I need to ask you something." She glanced at the box and her face instantly drained of color. "Where did you get that?" "In the attic," I said, setting it on the table, under the floorboards. Her hand trembled as she reached for it, but I pulled it back. "Not until you tell me the truth. Who is Harold Gray?" For a moment, the only sound was the hum of the refrigerator. Then she whispered, almost to herself, "You weren't supposed to find those." "I did, Mom, and now I need answers. According to these documents, he owned this house before Dad. And these letters," my voice cracked, "they're from you." Her shoulders sagged as though a lifetime of weight had finally caught up with her. She sank into the chair, pressing her palm to her forehead. "Harold, was your real father. The words hit me like a wave. What? Tears welled in her eyes. Your father, the man who raised you, knew. He forgave me, but I couldn't bear to tell you. Harold helped buy this house before he disappeared from our lives. I stood frozen, trying to process the confession. So this whole time, you let me believe I was protecting you, she whispered, and your father's memory. Anger, confusion, and pity twisted inside me. I looked toward the window where sunlight filtered through the curtains, illuminating the dust between us. You kept this secret my whole life, Mom. But now it's destroying everything. Her voice broke as she said, I know. That afternoon, I drove into town with the metal box on the passenger seat, my thoughts swirling like the waves outside the car window. I needed to know if what Mom said was true, if the house really belonged to Harold Gray, and what that meant for us now. At the county records office, the clerk gave me a puzzled look when I handed over the documents. She typed for a moment, then frowned at her screen. This property, she said, was never fully transferred to your parents. After Harold Gray's death, his estate fell into bankruptcy. The house is technically part of his unresolved debt. My heart sank. So we don't own it? Not legally, she replied. It's about to be repossessed. I left the office in a daze, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. Everything, my childhood memories, Dad's laughter on that porch, the scent of Mom's baking in the kitchen, was built on ground that was never truly ours. By the time I returned home, twilight had settled in. Mom sat in the living room, holding one of Harold's letters. Her face was softer now, almost peaceful, as if reliving a love she'd buried long ago. I know what you found out, she said quietly. You think I built this life on lies. I knelt beside her. No, Mom. I think you built it on love, complicated, messy love. But if I hadn't sold the house, we would have lost it anyway. This way, you get to choose how it ends. Tears glimmered in her eyes, but she nodded slowly. Your father would have done the same, she whispered. Outside, the sea roared against the shore as if erasing the last traces of everything we thought we knew. Morning came softly. The sky brushed in pale lavender and silver. The air smelled of salt and dew, and the distant crash of waves echoed like a heartbeat. The movers were already loading the last of the boxes, their voices hushed as if afraid to disturb the silence that hung over the house. Mom stood on the porch, wrapped in her shawl, her gaze fixed on the ocean that had once been her joy and her refuge. I walked up beside her, holding the keys. They're waiting, I said quietly. She didn't answer right away. Her fingers traced the railing, the wood smooth from years of her touch. Your father built this railing, she murmured. He said it would outlast us both. I smiled faintly. It will, Mom, just not here. Her lips trembled. Do you think he would have forgiven me for all of it? I looked at her, at the lines time and grief had carved into her face, and thought of the two men whose love had defined her life. I think he already did, I said softly. Both of them did. She exhaled shakily, then turned toward the door one last time. Together, we stepped inside and looked around at the sunlit walls, the faint scent of sea and cedar, the ghostly echoes of laughter and lullabies. Every corner seemed alive with memory. Then, slowly, she reached out, turned the key in the lock, and handed it to me. Thank you, she whispered, her voice breaking, for saving me from the truth and for setting me free from it. As we walked down the sandy path toward the car, I looked back once. The house shimmered in the morning light, small against the vastness of the sea, a keeper of secrets now finally at peace. Mom took my hand, and for the first time, neither of us looked back again.